No? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 4th Community Advisory Council meeting. We're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. And we'll start by going around the room and introducing ourselves. I'm Lorena Barrera with the 3rd District. Oh, and I just want to remind everyone to please speak slowly because interpretation is taking place as we speak. Thank you. Okay, so I'm Lorena Barrera with the 3rd District.
Nancy Pemberton, 5th District.
Nathan Solomon, 1st District.
George Valenzuela, 4th District. Trevor Ward, 3rd District. Don Jones is
Imelda Martinez, del Distrito 5.
John Azevedo, District 4.
Lisette Camacho, Community Engagement Manager with ILR.
Sylvia with Administrative Coordinator with ILR.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 2 on the agenda, which is the approval of the August 7th meeting minutes. Did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes that were in the agenda? Does anyone have any comments? Is there any public comment on the minutes? Do we have anyone on Zoom? We don't have any raised hands, so we'll close public comment and bring it back for a possible motion for approval.
So I'll move adoption.
Okay, second.
Sorry.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Nays? Abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. We'll move on to item 3, which is openings and appointments. We have a vacancy in district number 2. So if you know anyone interested, have them contact the Board of Supervisors. So they can apply.
And they have to be in District 2. Have we clarified that, or is that a little loose? Unclear.
It's pretty much, yes.
It has to be District 2. Residing in District.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on to item 4, correspondence items. From what I recall, there are no correspondence items that we need to report on. Item number 5, director's report. Did John provide any? Okay.
Let me just-
Oh, Nancy.
Let me just mention one thing, and that is that the court hearing on the subpoena litigation is tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 in Department 17, which is actually at the Empire School of Law, not in the courthouse. So it's open to the public. John won't be there. I'm hoping to be able to attend.
Okay, thank you. Item 6, sheriff's liaison report. Do you have anything?
I want to extend, previously I offered with a smaller group, with 11 to 16 group now. For anybody in this group that wants to go through our 4 competency simulator. But basically 270 degrees of screen. You stand in the middle with the big bell, scenario pops up and you get the song and act like an deputy on the call. You guys are all welcome to attend if you want, email. And then you do it.
I did it. It was great. I really highly recommend doing it.
Yeah.
Just a quick question for clarification.
Yes.
It's actually a simulation event that all are invited to, and what kind of simulation?
It's on a screen. You have all the equipment as a patrol deputy would. And you get to choose which and how to resolve them.
And I will add that I also participated and did the simulation exercise, and it really gives you a good perspective of what law enforcement officers encounter when they get called to address calls that they're supposed to respond to. So they give you the bell and you wear it as if it was you as the officer, and then you decide what weapons you use, and they throw different things at you. So it really gives you a good perspective on the different things that can happen in a situation and how things can escalate and how you can handle situations based on your surroundings and things like that. It's a really good experience to go through,
How many
in my
scenarios
opinion.
are- How many scenarios?
It's like a lot.
Yeah.
It was hundreds,
Yeah, they're up there. And you're not gonna be set up for failure when you go into these things. Like there are scenarios where you can go this unwinnable for the role player, but don't let that concern you if you want to participate. They're actually good scenarios to go through. So I think they go, you guys really enjoy it.
Sean, could, is there a Spanish speaking person who could
Oh, yeah.
run the simulator for Amelda?
I don't know if there's a Spanish speaker simulator trainer, but we can certainly have somebody.
Okay,
Okay, great.
thank you.
Well, that's saying, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
We also have a town hall coming up September 12th at 5:30 at Sonoma Police Department. If anybody wants to go out there for a town hall, it's the
Okay,
This Thursday, tomorrow.
It's 12th.
the 12th.
Next week.
Thank you.
At the Sonoma Police Department.
Thank you. We don't have any presentations on this agenda, so we'll move on to business items. And our business item is the discussion and possible action on the proposed recommendation to the sheriff's office from the recruitment, hiring, and retention ad hoc committee. And I'll turn it over to the ad hoc members.
Okay, I'll do this one, so,
Remember to
Slowly.
speak slowly.
slowly, yes, slowly. So the ad hoc on recruitment and retention started at the end of COVID because the sheriff's office was reporting that they were severely understaffed. I believe the number was about 50%, give or take. And, so we started the ad hoc with the kind of goal of trying to assist the sheriff's office in aiding the recruitment and retention across the board. It was kind of a wide open, scope, if you will. After about 6 or so months of that, we had a, what would you call that, like a winter meeting or a strategic workshop. And Sheriff Ingram came in and explained to us that the shortage on the personnel side had basically been resolved. And so that shifted the focus of the ad hoc at that point. We kind of reconvened and decided if there were any other questions we wanted answered, and there was 2 open questions, basically. One was about the diversity of the employees at the sheriff's office. And so we traded some emails about that, demographics, kind of went over that as well.
slower.
Sorry, yep. The other concern that the ad hoc had was about the imagery used by the sheriff's office in their recruitments, sort of campaigns. They were using a lot of SWAT images and military images that we didn't think, or at least it concerned us. It concerned us in terms of what kind of people they were going to attract with that sort of outreach. So we did do some research and came up with some kind of recommendations about what we felt like would be more appropriate. And so after all that work is kind of said and done, there's basically 2 recommendations. The first one, and there's more detail in the attachments here, so I urge you to read it through more thoroughly here, but first is limit the use of military and SWAT images in recruitment. We'd like to see, a more community policing focus in these images for recruitment, and we believe that'll actually improve the applicant pool. It'll also help diversify the applicant pool as well. The second recommendation is gonna be to join the 30x30 initiative or program, which is a commitment to a more diverse force for the most part in terms of gender. So it's a real heavy focus on recruiting more women into the force. And that program is, there's a link that you can follow to read more about that program, but it was recommended by one of our community members and has been for like the last year or so, I'd say. And we concur with him that this is something that makes sense for the sheriff's office to join and utilize their resources and try and improve the retention and recruitment of women in the force. And that's about it.
The 30x30 initiative is actually a national initiative, and it's not a mandatory quota. The idea is to commit to trying to get 30% of your force women by the year 2030. So that is the commitment. Robin?
Oh. I had a quick question. I know this is sent as an attachment. These, this graph here, they're no pretty small, but I'd be able to increase it when I open an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have more numbers. I only took a screenshot of kind of the top pane.
Yeah.
So there is more stuff there that we could.
Yeah, it looks like good information. It's just that it's.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll open it up.
Yeah, maybe I can follow up with the fuller PDF.
Yeah, we can circulate a PDF.
Are there any police departments or other sheriff's departments in California that participate in the 30x30 program?
I think Santa Rosa Police Department has.
Yeah, definitely, yes. I couldn't name them off the top of my head, but absolutely. And I think they would be listed in this, on this site.
Okay,
But we could double check that, but I'm sure there are. Absolutely. I don't know. which one they are.
I think Chief Perry told me that he had signed up, he committed to it.
okay. I think it would be worth adding in like whatever we send out to the sheriff. If we approve this and just listing in Sonoma County who does participate in it and maybe nearby counties as well, just as like backup information.
Yeah.
To support the recommendation. I just wanna say that from the start of what the ad hoc was working on, and then when Sheriff Ingram started his position and all of the changes that he took on, and then the evolution in the recruitment of deputies and stuff, I think transitioned a lot, and I think he did really great work and a lot of changes. So at one point I was kind of wondering what we were gonna do with the ad hoc. But I think the recommendations that you're providing are great, and what I had printed out work to come prepared to this meeting didn't include the additional, the recommendation. I forgot to print that. But are these the pictures that were used by our sheriff's department?
Yeah,
Okay.
in the last year.
Yeah, it does look very militarized, in my opinion.
And they're not the only pictures that they use, but
Okay.
these are ones that we thought were particularly militarized and sort of.
And the research was interesting too, like there was a lot of good research about, when you recruit new hires into this role. And they were shown those images, they have like a misperception of what their job is gonna be like. And
That's
so,
true.
and it was, so that was like totally fascinating, little kind of point of the research, and they said basically like when you show more of what they're doing, like in terms of helping community, it matches along with their day-to-day tasks. They tend to have a higher job satisfaction, essentially, like it gels with their expectations going into it,
Yeah,
which is just better overall.
yeah,
Does
that's
that
true.
make sense?
This reminds me of stuff I'd see on like a advertisement for, or a commercial for joining the Marines or something.
Totally.
Go ahead, Erna.
Thank you for your work and your recommendations. My question, is when you when you asked the sheriff about this imagery, what was their rationale behind that?
We didn't ask. We haven't asked them anything. So we're just observing what they're doing and saying, hey, we would like you to go in this direction. There was no conversation that we had with them. We didn't ask to meet and we didn't meet with them.
I'm curious as to why they chose this, as you say, militarized imagery.
Man, I'd like to get a response. I mean, what I'd like to do today is get these approved, give it to the sheriff, and then see how he responds to it.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe
and-
it's,
and
maybe
get-
it's old too.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't want to do it anymore. So, you know.
So, Ronnie, research that, hold them up, but they're from the recent.
Oh, they are?
Recent.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Last year.
Okay,
And we looked at like Instagram, all of the stuff online, on paper as well, but it was pretty widely distributed stuff.
okay. What if the sheriff came back and said that he disagrees because this kind of advertisement helped him gain that big increase in recruitment?
I think that's a discussion we should have.
Okay.
You know,
just thought- I'm
No,
playing devil's advocate.
he might say that, right? And I think our response or my personal response would be to try and describe the difference in the pool of applicants that you're gonna get if you show them like let's call it the Marine images versus the community policing images. And if the goal is diversity across gender and ethnicity, then I think we wanna be encouraging them to use like practices that encourage that, right? So
Mhm.
I think that's where that discussion will go.
And
And
some women.
just to follow up, I mean, I think that Nate's description of this research about job satisfaction. I mean, it's not just recruiting and hiring people, but it's retaining them. And if they have an unrealistic expectation of the job, then they're not gonna have the job satisfaction and we're not gonna have the retention.
Like, Lieutenant, could you tell us, like, there's thousands of employees in the sheriff's office, how many people do SWAT activities?
The ranges 20, 24, 25.
Out of how many thousands of employees, like?
I think if you include detention.
Yeah.
Detention has its own CERT team, which is similar with address.
Right.
And I can't speak to how many's on that team, but amongst both divisions. 650.
Any other questions from CAC members? Okay, we'll open it up to public comment. So, this is on the recommendation from the recruitment and retention ad hoc. Is there any public comment? No? Yeah, okay, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Ashley Horstman, and I think this is a great outcome, and I really like your suggestions, and I love presenting them here and just seeing how they respond. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone on, no? Okay. Any other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment and then bring it back for a discussion and possible action from the CAC. I think you guys did great. I think these are good recommendations and you did good research, and I would just add that little suggestion that I had.
You're wrong, it did a lot of the heavy lifting on the research, so.
Okay, Connie, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So if there's no other comment, and we can take a motion to approve the recommendation. The way this normally works is. The ad hocs do a whole bunch of research on whatever they're working on. If the goal is to have a recommendation, once they finalize what that is, like they're doing here, they bring it to the whole CAC. We have a discussion about it. Sometimes it requires additional changes, like sometimes we'll bring up things that maybe the ad hoc didn't think about or didn't have time to look into. And then once the CAC's comfortable and approves what is being presented, then we all vote, and then that gets sent over to the sheriff as a recommendation from the CAC through approving the work of the ad hoc. Yeah. And then the sheriff will respond to us and let us know his thoughts on what we're recommending. So is there any? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I move that we approve the ad hoc report on recruitment and retention.
Thank you, George. Is there a second? Thank you, Rowan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Abstentions? Thank you, the motion carries. Great job, you guys.
Thank you.
We are going to move on to item 9. So we're doing what we did at our last CAC meeting, where we're going to adjourn for a 30-minute recess for each ad hoc committee to conduct business. The public can stay and listen. As these ad hocs are working meetings, no official public comment period will be held. Access to these working sessions is not available on Zoom. So we'll stop the recording and pause the meeting on Zoom, and then split up and then reconvene in 30 minutes and proceed with the remainder of the agenda. And we'll go ahead and do that as of 6:22. So we'll reconvene at 6:53. Thank you. And then you can head out if you want. Ron. Thanks.
So recruitment's done.
The audio. Is that one? That's red. Is that one? Okay, sorry. Okay, we're gonna reconvene. It's now 6:55. Thank you all for hanging out and participating in the working meetings. So that was item 10, reconvening. Now we'll move on to item 11. CAC committee reports, and these are oral reports that each ad hoc or group will provide to the public. And we'll start with community engagement.
We just met with the K-9 policy people, and I'm gonna defer. We had a discussion about the proposed town hall webinar, and so I'm gonna just defer the report to them.
Okay, thank you. Racial and Identity Profiling Act.
So our merry band of members have been meeting regularly. Our last meeting was on 8/22, and we've met with Rania, who is our consultant there. The next steps in our program are to continue to do a deeper dive on the 2022 RIPA data, which is the most the most latest set of data that we have for the county. So in our little meeting here, we were talking through strategies, looking at how we're going to continue to analyze what we have. So the RIPA data as a whole, when you offer it for Sonoma County, includes 11 agencies, including the sheriff department, right? So we are working through that. Our next meeting is on September 12th. And the idea is that is going to be just purely a data working session where we talk through what data is being provided. Then we'll follow up on the 19th with a wider discussion around the report that we produce.
Okay, thank you. Community engagement had something to report on, so we're gonna come back to them right now.
I forgot, I wanted to follow up with our open letter from last month. I hope that everybody send it to their supervisor. But it did make the close to home, thanks to Robin. Repeatedly contacting, I was gonna say.
Her persistence.
Her persistent pursuit of Jim Sweeney at the Press Democrat, he finally, I don't know if you all saw it, it made it last Monday, I think.
Thank you, Lizette.
And so that was really great, so thank you, Robin, for doing that.
Well, the interesting thing about that was that he never did call me back. I mean, he called me back once and then, but didn't have anything to say, and then I, called him again. And then he published it without ever telling me that he was gonna publish it. I found out from Nancy that it had been published.
Did they publish the entire letter?
Yes, they did. The letter that we sent to the Board of Supervisors, the sheriff, and was it DSA, right? I just renamed it, close to home article. And it was the same letter, and it was less than their maximum number of words, so we did publish the entire thing. It was really great, so.
Thank you. And that letter is included in the packet if anyone from the public wishes to refer to it. If they didn't attend our previous meeting. Moving on to recruitment and hiring practices, I don't think you guys have a report. Policy recommendations review.
Otherwise known as the K-9 panel. We have been meeting, excuse me, and we would like to propose that we have a town hall that where we would the idea of the town hall would be to talk about the use of K-9s, to talk about K-9 policy, get, have some kind of interaction with community members. We have a list of people that we would like to invite to be on the panel. And then as a result of that town hall and the community engagement that comes through that, and what we've been, the communications that we've had with the sheriff's department, we would make recommendations, bring them back to the CAC, and, like we did tonight, hope that we would get those approved to send to the sheriff's department. So the town hall is both educational, and it's an opportunity to get the community engaged. Our feeling, I guess I would say my feeling is that this is a hot button issue in this county, the use of K-9s. And it could be a really good opportunity for the CAC to elevate its visibility in the community. We would like to have a town hall at a time where we feel like we can get the greatest number of people and the highest level of, community engagement that's possible. So what I wanted to do this evening as a result of our little ad hoc meeting here, is to just ask people their opinions about timing for this. We think that it would be a good idea to do a webinar rather than to do an in-person town hall. We had thought that we would do a full-blown 3-hour town hall, and it's been suggested that we consider just doing a 2-hour webinar instead. And there are people who probably would not feel comfortable coming to an in-person event anyway, if they have had any experience with K-9s, or they don't want to be in the same room as law enforcement or anything like that. So that's another justification for having a webinar. There's a number of justifications for that. So the question that we would like to pose is it your opinion that an evening webinar from say 6 to 8, some evening during the week? And this would, we're aiming for October, we could push it off to November, if that's a better idea. But would an evening between 6 and 8 be, the better option, or do you think that a 10 to 12 webinar on a Saturday morning would be better? So, I'd like to just hear what people.
I had, and just so everyone knows, I had proposed an idea barely this morning, like at 5 AM or something. That if we don't have any business items for the next regular CAC meeting. Because I think we were just gonna talk about the annual report, right? If the draft's already available. But if it's not, that we cancel our regular meeting and just let you guys run the show during whatever time period you wanna do. We already have the room booked. I personally think that it should be hybrid, kind of like our meeting right now, instead of either or. And then technically you don't have to do a formal agenda if like not all of us are gonna be there, but if we have a quorum and other CAC members want to attend, then we can put something together. But yeah, if there's no business items for us to have in October, then you guys could just have a K9 town hall in its place.
Were we gonna have the subpoena update by that meeting or no?
I think at that time we weren't sure.
Right,
but-
not
And
sure.
so it depends on what the court does tomorrow.
Okay, cause if that would be the most important business thing that I think would come up for that meeting.
Yeah, and if it's just an update, John can always send something to the entire CAC, and we can always have a special meeting or something, but. I mean, I think it's up to the K9 ad hoc, but that option is open.
We did discuss that.
I am looking for a location. I might have something already for October 26th.
That's a second.
Yes, and they open at 10, so we would have to start like at 10:30. That way it gives me time to set up. Because last time we were rushing for speaking to, so 10:30 to 2 o'clock, or 10:30 to 2 o'clock.
Well, we would, I mean, that it's great to have that amount of time. I've been convinced that probably 2 hours is a better amount of time than a 3-hour session, but. So, okay, so we do have the possibility of having an in-person, and would that be hybrid?
We can do hybrid. I just I have to arrange for just a projector and all that, but we might have the location of it.
What
And
about
what's-
Spanish translation?
I would have to arrange that.
Can you translate it?
And there's an expense to that, right? To having the translation.
Yes.
No, I'm afraid.
Right, and that is a consideration because, I don't know the, logistics about if Islero pays for something like that, or, our doesn't have it.
No.
But anyway, so, okay, so why don't we just get each person's opinion about, when the timing might be best for something like this? And I'm just gonna write it down, and then we'll make a decision. I mean, we're not gonna make a decision here tonight, but we've got 3 options. We've got have it in, during a CAC meeting, possibly have it on a Saturday morning, for 2 hours, hybrid, or have it be a webinar in the evening, probably from 6 to 8.
And I just wanna say, it wouldn't be during a CAC meeting, it would just be your thing, it wouldn't be all formal, like, oh, you only have 3 minutes to speak at town hall, you would run the show however you want,
Yes.
Would just be that time,
yes.
that date.
Trevor, what do you think?
I don't think those speakers, one way or the other, but I found it really important, given it.
Okay, I'm not gonna hold anybody to anything here, so we're gonna have to. What you said. Okay.
You're not writing down our name.
No. Okay, I'm just gonna, you're just a little.
I like Saturdays from 10 to 12 because, you know, the weekdays are long and I'm a morning person, so Saturdays and 12 is around.
And consider the demographic that we're also trying to do. Too. It's the general population and people who may have had some kind of a interaction with. Should have an interaction with things. Nathan,
I would lean towards the evening thing, and I definitely say shorter is better than longer. And hybrid too, I'm with Lorraine on hybrid makes a lot more sense to me. I think we'll have a mix, some people who want being in person rooms. Like that,
okay, that's,
sorry, you very well.
okay. Shannon.
I like the Saturday morning. In-person option, I think that clears it away. It's something I can focus on and, I think that just really defines what it's going to do. It's kind of, it's reminiscent of our retreat that we had. We kind of invited the community in. I think, if we pick a Saturday and say, we're gonna do this, we're gonna talk about that, it really gives breadth to the discussion topic. By starting it out early, picking a central location. I think that would do it.
And are you saying only in person or are you saying hybrid?
Hybrid, for sure.
Okay. Nancy, not to put you on the spot.
I had a stronger feeling about it, but I didn't like the idea of Saturday morning at all, but maybe being persuaded that it's a possibility. My strongest thing is 2 hours, not 3. And that there has to be an option for people to appear but by Zoom. I mean, to me, it could be a webinar, without any in-person.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do in-person, then it has to be available for people to see it online or appear online.
And so, would you prefer the evening 6 to 8 or the Saturday 10 to 12? Or
I'm much more neutral about that now, so.
Right.
I prefer evenings, but I'm the type of person where if everyone says Saturday morning, then I will be there. Cause I like to sleep in on the weekends. But, I would say it should be hybrid in my opinion. And when I was thinking about the idea, I also just think about staff, that's around Halloween on the 26th, and some people have kids and take their kids to places and stuff like that, so I just thought of that. But I think the topic is important, and I think you'd get a good turnout and an even better one if it was hybrid. So I'd support whatever the majority decides, evening or Saturday.
Okay. John,
Hybrid, shorter and sweeter, so we'll definitely lean more toward 2 hours than 3 hours. And I could probably go either way on the timing. I think if the dates are roughly gonna be either in the evening of the 2nd or on the Saturday on the 26th, I'd probably lean toward the evening of the 2nd, just because the days are so long. If you have to wait till later in the fall and the days start getting shorter and shorter, and it gets harder for people when they go home and they gotta shut down.
Yeah.
So
the second, what second is it?
October 2nd.
Oh, you mean the CAC?
The meeting.
and then can you have it ready in 30 days? Portion of that too, but if you could do it then maybe in
Can I get some clarification?
Yeah.
On the dates that we're talking about?
So we're talking about the evening of October 2nd. from 6 to 8, or the morning of October 26th, Saturday. 10 to 12, right? That's,
Yes, but that was not the only evening that we had discussed. I mean, we
No.
did not say that it had, if it were in the evening, that it would have to be
And-
on the second.
and-
It could be another evening. It doesn't have to be.
And that's why for me, like when you said it might go in November, if once daylight savings happens and it's dark again, for me, I don't know, once the sun goes down, it's like. Maybe it's just the farmer and me.
No, I think it's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's true.
I'm-
Remember?
It's a hibernation.
Oh, hibernation.
Yo también estoy logrando, puedo
It's
entrar.
dark, it's good.
Okay,
So I'm neutral Saturday or whatever.
okay, gracias.
I have a dumb question.
No,
What's the goal of this, like, event? Like, are we teaching, are we getting?
It's really both. I
Community,
mean, it's
okay.
really to put out into the community. We would do kind of an overview of kind of the history of the use of canines. And then we would talk specifically about Sonoma County. And then we were thinking about having several different people, possibly an ACLU person speak. We had thought about having the sheriff department canine handlers. People that are the canine handlers, someone from Iolero, speak, who has done, some of the investigation of the things. And then one of the other things we were thinking about was having somebody who has had additional experience with things. And it's been pointed out that it wouldn't be unusual if somebody who had that experience would not want to be in person at a meeting like this. So that's, so it's educational, it's also to get input from the community, if we can get any input from the community. The canine ad hoc would then take any input we got, but also just use the information that we've gotten in our interactions with the sheriff's department. And we did go to a training and we've spoken with their handlers and things like that. And come up with policy recommendations that we would do the same as the recruitment ad hoc did see, they bring those recommendations back to CAC and.
Feels like a Saturday morning thing to me already, to be honest.
Mhm.
What did you say?
It feels like a Saturday morning kind of topic, right? I mean, just what you're describing, it sounds very educational and intense and.
Well, and we'd like to, I mean, for me, I'm on the community engagement and this other ad hoc, and this feels like such an opportunity for us to do some really good, get out in the community instead of having the community just come to us. And there's a difference for me, as observing the people instead of having the people come to us. And,
Lisa, can I ask where the place is that you're looking at?
It's the library off Montecito.
off what?
Yeah.
Maria Creel.
Yes, I think, yeah. That's the only one that had the 26 available.
Okay, anyway, so we have, so I will take this information and back to our ad hoc and we will continue our discussions.
And then just one suggestion, and if Casey were here, I would still say it, but he does a lot of thorough research and then he likes to talk about it. So I think like 2 hours to accomplish the goal that you're trying to accomplish. I think if you guys are going to present information, have like printouts of all of the important stuff Casey's gonna have and the group's gonna have, but maybe shorten it when you present it through a PowerPoint presentation that isn't full of a lot of words. So that they have something to take home that's detailed, and then we can do a short visual presentation. But I'm not on that, it's just a suggestion, sorry. Okay, And
Right,
okay, if
thank
there's
you.
nothing else on that, no problem. We'll move on to item 12, which is open time for public comment, and this is intended for items not appearing on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the CAC. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? You'll have 3 minutes, and we'll start with attendees in person and then go on to Zoom.
Okay. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm Mike Whiteside. I'm the vice chair of the Sacramento County Community Review Commission, which is a parallel body parallel to yours. There are some differences, but we're a fairly new organization, and we are a part of a group called the California Coalition for Sheriff's Oversight. And through that group, we heard about the good work you have done. We're a fairly new organization, a couple of years old, and we understand that you're a bit more mature than we are. So I'm here tonight with our staff, Laura Foster, who's here besides to keep me out of trouble. We came just to introduce ourselves and to reach out, say hello, and just observe, see what you're doing, how your meetings are run, things like that. So it's very good to see you in action and good to meet you all. And I hope we can have a few minutes afterwards if we might be able to speak individually. Or we could have to hear them again.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas.
Okay, we don't have any hands raised from attendees on Zoom, so we'll close public comment and move on to item 13, requests for future agenda items. Are there any requests from CAC members? Yeah, Ron.
You know, I wish I had brought it. I read recently that article that was in the PD about the strike, the hunger strike, and the ongoing issues at the jail about, you know, the cost of things in the commissary. Whatever, yeah. And the hours, I mean, just all the issues that we heard spoken to by a sheriff's person a couple of meetings ago, saying that they had all been addressed, basically. It does not sound to me, based on the article that I read, that they have really been addressed to the satisfaction of the, you know, detainees. And I just wondered, when there is an issue that comes up like that, is that something that we would, you know, ask ourselves, do we want to pursue when we have another strategy session like we did last February? Or is it something that we talk about at the next meeting? I just don't know the logistics of that. You know what I mean? I don't know if people saw that article, but.
Yeah, I think that that's something, so if such a discussion would lead to, let's say you had an idea of addressing that issue and you wanted input from the entire CAC, then we would just bring it on a regular agenda. But if it's just something that keeps coming up in the community that we think we need to look into further, then that's something that can be brought up at the strategic workshop that we have, so that we can determine if we want to have an ad hoc that does more research than just having a discussion about the issues that are going on that we're reading about. So when we think about bringing things to put on the agendas, think of like you looking for an action that night when we all meet and not just talking about it. But yeah, no, I think that's something that we should all keep in mind for January or whenever we.
Is that what we're gonna do? Are we-
We did it.
Yeah,
last
That's it.
February.
Yeah.
February,
February.
yeah.
Yeah,
It does seem right for an ad hoc,
yeah,
for sure.
and we can talk to John separately if, Nancy and I, if that's something that we need to bring up beforehand for February. Any other request?
I just want to comment that it was very interesting to see the divergent reporting between the sheriff's representative here who was saying, oh, it's all okay, we're all doing well, blah, 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 and, you know, PD was just like, and I will say the inmate welfare fund, was first raised by the civil grand jury. several years ago.
Yeah, and Tom wanted us
Tom
to,
Rose is
yeah.
very involved in that.
yeah. Okay, any other requests for future agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to, yes. Oh, if there were any additional requests for agenda items. No,
So
okay,
the retreat, I guess, is, we can start talking about that, maybe
yeah, yeah,
start planning,
okay.
get dates and then.
Okay. Item 14, CAC announcements. Any announcements from CAC members?
There's a sign up sheet for events. I don't know what happened to it. Oh, okay.
Was that, you wanna say that loud?
Yes, there's 3 events taking place, not this weekend, next weekend. I'll be sending an email soon. But I would bring the sign up sheet. You don't have to do all 3 events, but they are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, back to back. But if you could do any shift, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you. And now we're on item 15. This is adjournment. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 2nd at 6 p.m. here in this room. And if we decide to cancel it because we're gonna do a town hall or anything like that, everyone will be notified, but for now, plan on meeting at a regular meeting at this location at 6 on that date. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:24 p.m. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.